What would you do if your dreams, your choices, and your voice were stripped away? What if instead of being seen and valued as a human, you were valued for nothing more than just your body? This is what we're diving into today as we talk about the true and horrific side of human trafficking. I'm Clara Capano, and this is Women Winning Their Way. Hello, I have a question for you. What is your life worth? You see, we are facing a global issue where the cost of human life is being traded and negotiating on a daily basis. This is human trafficking. And today, to help us talk about this horrific situation that we need to be aware of, to help us understand the power that we have in looking for the signs and growing awareness, is someone who is the co-founder of the No More organization. So I'm here to share with you my friend Tami Kent from the No More organization, who's going to teach us all about the impact that human trafficking has. And Tami, before we get in there, I just want to remind everyone that today's episode is being sponsored by our friends at Cutco Knives. But Tami, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Well, this is something that has been near and dear to my heart for a while now, but it was over the course of the past year that it was something I knew I needed to become more involved with. And as I've been talking with you and other experts in the field, it really has just shown me how widespread this issue is. So I guess to kick us off, explain a little bit and define what human trafficking is.
Sure. Again, thank you so much for having me on today. Human trafficking is honestly just the buying, selling of human beings. It's using and abusing for selfish gain,
Mhm.
treating human beings as if they were property. It's hard for a lot of people to wrap their mind around what that looks like, but it comes through force, fraud, and coercion. Many times, the most vulnerable in our communities are those that are the most impacted. But at the end of the day, it all boils down to treating a person as if they're property, and buying and selling a person as if they're property. That's human trafficking.
Okay. Here on the show, Women Winning Their Way, we talk about the importance of using your voice, of
Right.
breaking free. But, these people who are being trafficked, they have no voice. And that was not a choice for them.
Absolutely.
What was it that called you to be a part of this? What was that turning point for you that really wanted you to get in alignment with this?
Well, interestingly enough, I grew up in a home where my mother was incredibly generous, focused on loving and serving the community. So some of my earliest memories are bringing Christmas to families that didn't have anything, giving coats to people who didn't have any when it snowed. I mean, really just thinking about meeting immediate needs. And that was just a part of my life growing up. And then, as I matured and moved into adulthood, taking missions trips, I saw need needs around, not just around my community, but around the world. And it opened my eyes to a reality that I couldn't have put into words 13 years ago, but I can communicate today.
Mhm.
Where you find poverty anywhere in the world, anywhere in the US, in your city, or in a third world country, where you find poverty, you find vulnerabilities. And where those vulnerabilities exist, exploitation occurs.
Mm.
And when we were on missions trips in third world countries or working in the inner city, we would see those vulnerabilities. Um, but honestly, 13 years ago, the words human trafficking weren't the buzzwords that they are today. I had
Mhm.
never heard of human trafficking, but I do remember being on a trip with a family, again, in a foreign country. Most of the work that we do, in fact, all of the work that we do is here in the United States. But, it all starts somewhere, right? And so
Right.
we are, we've got a group of people, we're in a foreign country, and um, the mother of the family that we were staying with was sharing about how she had been offered a job out of the country, and she began to weep. She had little children, and they really needed, they needed a home. There are just certain things that we take for granted that
Mhm.
exist for a majority of Americans that don't exist outside of the States. And they didn't have a home. They needed, a solid financial foundation. And she'd been offered this job, and through tears she said, many times people will leave and they never come back. And we kept hearing that. People would leave. Men would leave the country for work, and never their families would never hear from them again. Women would leave the country for work. And so that was our first interaction, hearing about what was happening. Again, not able to put it in this framework. And then coming back to the States and launching, No More, and wanting to connect people, we really began to see, our eyes began to be open. And it was like, oh, wait, I saw that, but that happens here in my city. That happens 10 miles from my front door, 5 miles from my front door. These things are happening. And so, that was kind of the impetus for us being introduced.
Mhm.
Um, but I do have a story I'd like to share. I think I
Please.
was with you the first time we talked. As we began launching No More and reaching out into communities, we have initiatives, strategic initiatives wrapped around orphans and at-risk children, because they're the most at risk in our communities for trafficking. Um, and then we do have a lot of work that we do in the anti-trafficking space. And one of the first events that we did, we actually traveled and to Thailand and filmed a documentary, brought it back to the States with this idea that, maybe if we tell the story of people thousands of miles away, we could open people's eyes up to what's happening right down the street. And so we had people come out and we screened the documentary. And that night, it was 10 years ago. Um, the event's over, we're standing at the table, and I see this young woman out of the corner of my eye, and she's just pacing. And occasionally I'd look up and she'd look down, and it was just this, we kind of did this dance, for lack of a better word, for a few minutes before I just thought, I've got to go over and talk to her. I need to find out what's going on. And I get choked up sometimes when I remember, but she couldn't look me in the eye. She was physically shaking, under her clothes. As I'm sure it took every ounce of what she had in her to just get out the words.
Mhm.
That's my story.
Yeah.
Here we are, middle class America.
Mhm.
We've shared these stories of girls and women thousands of miles away on the other side of the world. And here this woman comes up and she says, that's my story. And her name is Kim. We are close. We've had a 10-year journey together now, but that began. That was the moment that human trafficking became deeply personal for me, because it stopped being this issue that existed outside of me,
Right.
and it came close.
Right.
And it's moment after moment after moment like that
Mhm.
have really propelled the work that we do, because
Yeah.
when it comes close, you can't help but do something about it.
Exactly. And that's one of the reasons I wanted to bring you on, is because I think so many times we think it's so far away and we don't realize it's in our own backyard. And I know one of the statements that really stood out for me is, when they talk about the drug trade and
Mhm.
how, if
Yeah.
I am a drug dealer,
Right.
whatever it is that I'm selling,
Right.
I can sell that product one time to one person,
Right.
but a human life can be sold hundreds of times in the
Yes.
course of a week, 10, 15, 20 times in a
Right.
day. And it's not just the sex trafficking, which is what most
No.
of us think,
Right.
it's the labor trafficking.
As well.
So, as professional women, why is this something, because we're here talking about women winning their way. What
Right.
can we do as professional women to help this movement, to help these other women and these other children
Right.
who have lost their voice and have lost their choice? What could we do? What are some of the things we should be looking for? And other
Right.
than just giving money, how can
Yes.
we really impact this?
Well, I think the first step for anyone is to educate yourself. It's to educate yourself to really learn about the issue, because there are movies out there. I'm sure people have seen the movie Taken. There was a movie that just came out this year, The Sound of Freedom. People are watching it.
Mhm.
Some of these movies, just like I shared with you, even in my story, are set internationally. But I think it's so important for us to be educated on what's happening and what this looks like in our communities, because here in the US it looks very different. I know you've gone through some training yourself, and most people are shocked to find out that it's not the white van and the stranger. It's not. In fact, that's a 1%. 1% of human trafficking cases in the United States are the white van and the stranger. Many times people are trafficked by people they know,
Mhm.
family members, neighbors, boyfriends, girlfriend. I mean, and it's no human trafficking is not it's no respecter of persons, right? It's every zip code, every gender, every race, every socioeconomic status is covered, and I think when we don't know what something looks like, we can't adequately address it. And so,
Yeah.
again, I think the one thing that women, professional women, can do is empower themselves. They can educate themselves and really find out what it looks like. And then, one of my favorite things about what we do is we get to connect people to care. No more exists to connect people to care for the vulnerable. And so once you know what's happening, then find out, what's going on in your community. What does it look like for you to engage in meeting this need? And sometimes people think, well, gosh, it's an intimidating issue. It's scary. It really is. And
Yeah.
and honestly, a lot of people don't talk about it because it's scary. It's
Yeah.
kind of, what is that, the visual image? It's like, see no evil, hear no evil, speak no evil, right?
Exactly.
As
Yeah.
long as I ignore it and it's happening over there, then I don't have to do anything about it. But
Well, yeah, and
once,
I went through that too,
yeah,
as I was going through my training, because again, I am going to be a facilitator with your organization to
right,
spread awareness. I actually had to pause some of the training that I was going through because
right,
it really was upsetting my stomach. And I was just wondering, just to again show and to demonstrate
right.
the volume, can you throw out some numbers, some statistics of what we are actually seeing on a regular basis so people can really
Right.
see the amplification of this?
The most recent statistic I read, which came out in June of 2023, was that there are an estimated 1 million victims of human trafficking in the US. That's a lot.
Yeah.
that's significant. Um, and honestly, as much as I want to say that's an accurate number, and I think it is. I mean, we're doing the organizations on the ground. We're doing our due diligence to make sure that the numbers are right. But there are a lot of cases that aren't reported, and
Mhm.
so is that the true number? I think it's
Right.
close, but gosh, it's crazy when you look at the statistics of 65% of kids who age out of foster care or who have had any history in the foster care
Mhm.
system become victims of human trafficking.
Right.
When you look at the statistics for homelessness and people who struggle with homelessness or addiction, I mean, the issues are intersecting, but the numbers are there. I mean, we live in the state of Florida, and Florida is, I don't want to be on the top five. We don't want to be in the top. That's a list you don't want to
Don't
be.
want to be on. Exactly.
In many cases, to be number one is great. No, we do not want to be number one,
Mhm.
two, three. We want to be off the list. But
Today's episode is sponsored by our friends at Cutco. For over 75 years, Cutco has been known for the quality and professionalism of their knives and kitchenware. But did you know that they also are a partner in your business? When you work with a partner at Cutco, they help you build a business based on relationships and referrals. When you gift a Cutco product to your clients and business partners, you are there with them daily as a reminder of the quality and value you bring to them. I've been using Cutco in my business, and it definitely has sent a message that I am proud of. So if you're looking for a partner in growing your relationships and your business long term, make sure to work with Cutco.
In our state, because we have ports and we're a vacation destination, and there's a tremendous amount of, I mean, like, just the population itself, it sets us up for being in that situation where our community, this is something that we have to deal with. We have to address it.
Yeah.
But those are the numbers I can share. I'm not sure if you have anything more
No,
that you're
no,
looking for.
that I just wanted to again let people know the scope of
Right.
this. And there's a couple things I really want to ask you about.
Right.
One is, it is one thing to help these people and to again
Right.
educate, bring awareness and all of that. It's a whole other thing on the other side because there are people who want to escape this, but they're
Absolutely.
like, where do I go? And I would love for you to share a little bit about your safe houses because a
Okay.
lot of people don't understand that there's a whole other journey
Right.
when they actually decide to take action
Right.
and say, I'm ready to leave.
Absolutely. For example, the story I shared with you earlier, of my friend Kim, when she identified that she was a victim, there weren't a significant number of safe houses available.
Mhm.
There aren't for the number. I just threw out a big number, right?
Right.
Um, if I told you that the number of safe homes and beds for survivors is a fraction, I mean, like a 1% of the number of the number of victims, it's shocking. And yet, each one of those people having a unique lived experience of experiencing trauma. I mean, at levels that you and I may never even begin to fathom. The only way to truly find healing and restoration and hope is to be a part of a program where you're able to deal with the issues, not just the issues that are visible from the surface, but those that are deep down, the vulnerabilities that led someone
Mhm.
to becoming that victim in the first place. And so, those programs exist, and we have some amazing programs all over the country, but many are challenged because there aren't enough beds. And,
Yeah.
I had shared with you, we took a poll in our community, and this was several years back because we were really hearing about the issue with housing. And we found that within a 12-month period of time, 152 women who had been identified, verified as victims of human trafficking had been turned away from the services that they needed to find that healing, hope, and restoration because there weren't enough beds. And so we began to say, no more. That's a
No more.
battle cry,
Mhm.
right? No more, not on our watch. What can we do about this? How can we help? It can't be that we have this many that are ready,
Mhm.
that need the help, and they just don't have a safe place to land. Because for most women and teens and whoever encounters this issue, for most people that are victims of human trafficking, if they don't find that safe place to land, they
Right.
cycle back in. They don't have anywhere else to go. They cycle back into
Mhm.
these communities and systems that aren't, they're not safe for them. And so we've
Exactly.
got to be able to tackle the housing crisis, in the sense of really how establishing homes, more safe homes, so that there are more beds, so that women can begin to find freedom. Because my friend Kim, this year was awarded the Survivor Advocate of the Year from the Attorney General. I'm so proud of her.
Wow.
I mean, but
Mhm.
her life has been transformed because she was able to get access to services that she needed to support from anyone and everyone, from the local church to school, and help with her kids. I mean, like, it's just incredible the transformation
Yeah.
that we have seen happen in the lives of people if they're just given those steps out. And
Exactly.
so
And
we
that's
want
where, yeah, we've got to have these after steps available for them. And this
absolutely
was something that really spoke to me, being that my background is in real estate.
right,
And, so this is what I am choosing. Again, a lot of people who are following me know that for all of my book sales, I donate a part of it to fight against human trafficking. And
right,
this is actually the area that I have devoted to give my funds to, is to help to build. And I know you have one going on right now. The goal is
right.
to get several. And I believe you need about what, $75,000 more to get
Right.
this next one up and running?
Right. We have an incredible story. I mean, as we have begun to beat this drum, beat the
Mhm.
drum and tell people, like, this is a solvable crisis. Solving the housing crisis for survivors of trafficking in our communities is something that we can do and that everyone can be a part of. And so as we began to beat that drum, we've had people begin to open doors. We had a home that was donated,
Mhm.
and it needed a lot of work, a lot of renovation. We've raised 235,000 of the 300. So yeah, we are at that final 75,000 mark. I
Mhm.
think to hit that goal, our goal is to open the doors in July of this year, to expand. I mean,
Mhm.
just in the last 3 years, as we've been engaging people for housing, we've been able to triple the number of beds for survivors of trafficking
Mhm.
just in our Tri-County area. And this new home that's going to open in July will just add 8 more additional beds to that. But we want to see this happen all over the country, because
Yeah.
when people are generous, they want to do something. And again, back to the education, they just don't
Yes.
know what to do, where to go, who's a vetted organization, how they can get involved. And so, yes, we would love to help people anywhere. And that's what I love. I know you're reaching people all across the
I am.
US.
That's my
Yeah,
plight, is to help, by partnering with so many that I know
right,
out there, especially in the real estate realm, is to help you
right.
all, want to get 5 new homes in 2024. So that's
Yeah.
what, I'm committed to doing. And, Tammy, we have just a few more minutes left. I really want to again put out just some strategic thoughts.
Yeah.
We talk about the vulnerable, and I
Mhm.
think again, really understanding that this could be happening on our forefront. And
Right,
one of the most vulnerable age groups are those young teenagers,
right,
because with so many parents having to work, we've got dual income houses.
right.
Unfortunately, so many teenagers, preteens, are left to technology, which is where a lot of these people are seeping in. What are maybe 2 or 3 things that parents, um aunts, uncles, friends, because it doesn't just have to be your child, it could be your
Absolutely.
niece, your nephew. What
Yeah.
should we be really looking for?
Well, I don't think parents should be afraid to know what's happening on their children's phones. I think that, it's the world we live in is, again, incredibly complex. Apps
Mhm.
and phones and the access to technology did not exist when we were young at the way that it does today. The ability for someone to stumble into a place where there's someone, a predator or someone that would take advantage of them, is just, it's frightening when you think about it. And there's some amazing apps out there that I know
Mhm.
you could share afterwards. There's an app called, I believe it's called Bark, BARQ, if I'm right. And it's just, there's a lot of different technology assistance, but really so much of it is relational. It's
Exactly.
keeping an eye out. Like, for example, I'll share a quick story. We did a training for a group of young people and their parents, because we host trainings to help people, again, get educated, learn what's going on. And so we did a training for a group of young people and their parents, and we were talking about things that were going on and how to spot the signs and what to look for. And after the training, this one mother um, called and shared about her experience, and she had noticed that her child was just acting super protective over their phone. And again, I'm not saying that any kid who doesn't want their parents to see their phone is I don't want to say, I don't want to make that seem like the thing, but it can be. And
Mhm.
she knew her kid, she knew her child, and so she was aware something was off. He was hiding his phone, and so she took action. She decided not to sit on it. She, went with her gut, and she was looking, and she noticed that he had been communicating with someone,
Mhm.
and they were planning to meet up. And it was, these conversations that were happening, and again, that red flag. And she made some phone calls, and it turns out it was a 30-year-old that showed up to the park,
Yeah. And
not a
again,
16-year-old. And and in this particular case, I think it's important to note that it wasn't a girl, it was a boy that was on the phone with a girl.
mhm,
It was an adult woman that was coming to the park. And sometimes I think we have a tendency to think it's only girls, or it's only a certain group of people, it's only a
mhm,
certain, part of our community. That No, it's everyone and
everyone.
anyone. But because that mom was just picking up on the little cues, and she dug a little deeper, and she noticed those red flags, and she made that phone call. Gosh, who knows what happened? What
Exactly.
could have happened? Like, we this is happening all the time. And so I think it's just a matter for parents of being aware. And again, we want to arm people with the tools so that they can navigate these situations. Our trainers, we have an anti-trafficking training manager, and she's amazing, and she's got a huge list of resources that I'd love to share, that you can share with your audience, so that they can look up for themselves and kind of see what's out there. But
Yeah.
really,
But I
again,
think again, you cannot be afraid of the conversation. The
absolutely
cost is too much.
right,
It's too great. So
right,
you've got to engage in these conversations. And if something doesn't seem right, trust your gut. As
right,
again, a parent, a family member, of a family friend, you've got to make sure to ask the questions, because this is something you know,
right,
you don't want to be sorry about not asking the
absolutely,
question.
yeah,
So as we close this out, again, we are going to put all the show notes in the comments so people will know how to get a hold of you, your organization, no more. Again, if people are looking to bring awareness in to their organization, their company, their church, their youth group,
right,
whatever it is, know that they could reach out to both of us, and we can help them find some facilitators. I have one last question to ask you as we start to close this out, because we are talking about creating success. So when you
yes.
sit where you are sitting today, how do you define success for yourself?
Oh wow. At the end of the day, I think success is found in the richness and the depth of the relationships that I have. And everything that I do, um, I measure by that. Money comes and goes. Status comes and go. It comes and goes. In each season of our life, it looks different, and it doesn't mean that we don't pursue and that we don't run hard and
Mhm.
passionately go after the things that we want. But at the end of the day, it's about relationship, and it's about the people that are around you and the impact that you can have, that legacy that you can leave. And I think sometimes when we wrap that around dollar amount, or we have an idea of what that's going to look like, it can keep us from truly fulfilling,
Mhm.
our calling, our purpose on
Right.
in this life,
Yeah.
to impact others. And so for me, success looks like, the depth of the relationship and the richness of the relationships around me, but also the impact that we collectively are able to have, because
Mhm.
you know these women that we're intersecting with, these children that we are caring for, this is generational.
It is.
It's not just one woman, it's her children, her grandchildren, her great grandchildren. It's not
Mhm.
one child, it's their future life and marriage, and just the hope that we have. That's what success looks like for me.
Beautiful. Well, Tammy, thank you so much for sharing. I know that your organization is changing lives. Again, it is delivering that impact. And I'm just so honored that you are here to share that with
Oh,
us
thank
today.
you. Well, we're
So
honored to be
thank you so
partnering with
much.
you. Thank you for the invitation.
Absolutely. And for all of you following, again, make sure that you get connected, whether it's this organization or another organization that speaks to your heart. Get involved, because together we can make impact happen. I'm Clara Capano, and thank you for watching another episode of Women Winning Their Way.